Hi, everyone. Ashley May and Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form. This Saturday at Santa Anita, the late pick 4 gets started in race number 8. It's the Grade 3 La Canada Stakes, a mile and a 16th on the dirt for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward. And we'll take a look at the field here as we look at the slate. And two big names on the paper, I guess, when you look at them on the inside and the outside, Alpha Bella and Cavalieri. Not too far difference either in their morning line, 9 to 5 on the rail runner, and then on the outside, 8 to 5. And it just felt like, I understand Musical Mischief is, 2 to 1 in here, but really all attention I feel like are going to be on the horses I mentioned, the 1 and the 6.
Yeah, that's how I kind of looked at it. Probably playing out as well. We'll see if Musical Mischief takes that much money. I guess there are things to like about her. To me, the other interesting horse, I guess, was the 2, just because she is a prior graded stakes winner. But she's got a little something to prove here.
As we take a look at the Time Form U.S. pace projections for this compact field, it looks like the outside runner, Cavalieri, who obviously then draws well, is going to show that early foot. But the 2, Chattelis, more towards the inside. She likes to be forward. I think, those are probably the main 2. And horses like the 3, I think, was evident. I mean, this horse is a closer, if anything, has been pretty far back, especially in that last out effort.
Yeah, exactly. The 3, I mean, I doubt that horse has the top, is the fastest closer in the race, but maybe just by virtue of her running style, she could make up a little late ground. She just looks like she's not very good. To me, it'll be interesting. This pace to me is interesting because I think the 6 is going, obviously, but the 2 has speed. The 1 has speed from the rail, and I think Pratt is going to be using it here off of a little bit of a left. I think there's a chance this pace gets competitive.
We'll jump right in here with a replay for the number 1, Alpha Bella, you said has some early foot. And as we look at her most recent performance, Breeders' Cup weekend in the Bayakoa Grade 3 event, she wasn't on the lead, which we have seen in the past, whether it's been on the turf or the dirt, but she kind of got that nice trip just sitting off of it. And when it's all said and done, I thought the way that she kind of closes here late, it's good. It's just simply not enough. Hope Road made things look very easy there.
Yeah, just couldn't get to the big favorite there. I think Hope Road was 1 to 5 in that race and outran her to the lead. I mean, when you go back, though, and watch the full replay, I mean, it did seem like the rider of Alpha Bella wanted to be part of that pace. I mean, came out of the gate running, was trying to be up there with the winner, just couldn't keep up with her and was forced to do some chasing. She ran fine in there. To me, it never looked like she was going to win, but she ran fine in that race. 2 starts back, I actually felt like she ran a lot better. I mean, a pretty bad stumble at the start, but she recovered, had speed, made the lead, took pressure up on the pace, and was still around at the end. I mean, listen, she can win here. She's not going to be much price. The blinkers are going back on, which I'm not sure what to make of that. And then you talk about as good as she has been, Ashley, and if you want to comment on this, go ahead. She's got 1 dirt win in her career. It was in a match race at Saratoga in a race that was off the turf that she couldn't possibly lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. Obviously, her number of races, 2 on the dirt, limited compared to the turf. She's had double the number of starts on the turf course. And you can see for a while when she was in the Todd Fletcher barn, they focused on the grass and they actually focused on distance races. We're talking mile and 3, mile and a half. So it's tough for me to assess it other than she's only won a match race. I don't know how much I can read into it. I think when I look at her last 2 have been improved. I think she was just beaten last time by a much better horse. I think Hope Road is a better horse, and that's why you don't see Hope Road in a spot like this. I think that's more of a grade 2, at least, sort of horse when you kind of look at the bigger picture. And I think she is intriguing, though, as you mentioned, that Flavien might use her early foot. I don't think she needs the lead to win, but I think they will be a little bit more aggressive, and the blinkers might be part of it. Maybe it's a focus thing, but again, she's one of, in my opinion, the big 2 in here. So 9 to 5, though, is a little bit short, as we will see with a couple of the runners in this field. The number 2, Chattelis, she is tough. I think, she had that good turf race, and then they put her back on dirt, and then they tried her on turf again, and they've tried a little bit of everything. But her races, to me, 2 and 4 back, they're quite strong and maybe make her a contender in here. It's just the inconsistencies along the way that, to me, also make her a little bit of a tough sell.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I didn't really know what to do with her. She's a newly turned 4-year-old here, and she's just going to have to take a step forward at some point, which, listen, it's far from impossible. As we talked about in the Open, she is already a graded stakes winner. I guess my problem with her is that, again, going back through all of her races, there's just not one that I really like. I don't really like any of them. Even the grade 3 win, the Indiana Oaks, it was off the layoff. I'll give her some credit for that, but they handed that race to her. They just let her walk on the lead in there. She looked like she was beat several times in the stretch, and she somehow managed to come back. I don't know, man. I'm just not convinced that she's that good. I still think she's a little bit interesting in here.
Yeah, and I don't know in terms of trip, like what's the best trip for her? I think it's to be forward, but I don't think she's as quick enough as others in here. So we'll see. I mean, she was sort of projected there by time form to maybe be tracking in second early. The 3 Argentinian mare here for Phil D'Amato. Now we saw the LP flag was attached to her, and we were just talking about maybe she's just not quick enough. And I don't know what you do. Obviously, they raced her in the Zenyatta. She didn't run well. Alpha Bella was second in there, and then they put her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I mean, I just feel like from her races stateside, I really can't make any assessment of her.
No, I mean, listen, even if you didn't think she had any chance in the Breeders' Cup, and she didn't, go back and watch the Zenyatta again. I don't know what she was awful in that race. I don't know. I'm not betting this horse. We'll see what happens.
All right, the number 4, Musical Mischief, up next here for Michael McCarthy. Now, she's been primarily racing in Kentucky and sometimes the Mid-Atlantic. It's been a while since she's been at Santa Anita. Last time would have been in this event last year. The Fall City, I don't know. Part of me is like, well, maybe she didn't like sort of pressing it over a muddy track, but she obviously has had experience before over a muddy track and was able to win. So that was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I think when you go back to the Locust Grove, that's where you can see more of a serious racehorse and a really nice performance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a race like that would give her some kind of a chance in here. And it feels like she maybe has the right running style too. If the favorites go out there and sort of race each other, maybe Musical Mischief just falls into the perfect trip and can sort of take advantage of that. I still felt like she was going to need, either the 1 or the 6 to not show up with their top race if he was going to come out on top. And she's just not an interesting price on the morning line. I mean, if that morning line holds, maybe it won't. Maybe she drifts. But if that morning line holds, I'm not taking 2 to 1 on this horse.
The 5, a big price in here. That's Big Hug. This is a horse that you can see most recently was at Turf Paradise. Prior to that, Century Mile, Century Downs. And she had a win streak going, but they put her in that race at Turf Paradise. I thought, considering that group, she ran a decent second, but this is just a completely different ball game, something that she's never experienced to this point in her career.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not. She's not fast enough, at least on paper, to beat horses like this. But I'll never knock a mare like this. 13 for 22. She just shows up. She runs every single time. She's a really cool horse. It seems like a pretty tough spot for her.
And then to round it out, the number 6, Cavalieri. We'll show a replay for her now. She's 2 for 2 in her career. Bob Baffert here, Juan Hernandez. She's going to be bet. She's the morning line favorite. And I guess based on what we've seen so far from her performances visually and a buyer perspective, maybe she's the one to beat just because she's coming in here off of wins and really no one else is.
Yeah, we'll find out a little bit, probably a lot more about her in this race. But she is 2 for 2. I think she earned both of those victories. I didn't feel like either one of them, actually. Maybe you want to comment on that. I didn't think that they handed her anything. They sort of made her race both times. And then if you want to just pick apart her competition a little bit, I mean, the horse that was third to her on her debut, Accuracy, she wins her next 2 starts after that with buyers of 107 and 95. And Cavalieri just buried her in that race. And then the horse that she ran down in that replay that we just watched, that horse, she's a bit of a cheaper horse, but she had won 4 in a row on the way into that. She can't handle Cavalieri. She comes out, she's won twice more since then. I mean, she's a pretty good horse, and she just could not stop this horse at the end. I think there's a chance this filly's pretty good.
Yeah, Jubilant Joni in terms of figures, maybe not as impressive as the other horse that you mentioned, but I think when you're looking at sort of productive events, to me, that's a good sign. And for what this horse and this filly has been posting, we're talking about a 90 and 89. I liked that when you kind of compare her debut to second time out, she wasn't as sharp from the gate. She didn't feel like she had to go to the front, and you wonder if there's some versatility there. She does draw a compact field here, the outside post. I think she's going. I just don't know how quick she has to be. It really depends what the horses towards the inside, Chattelis and Alpha Bella, will do. But a compact field here in this grade 3 event, the La Canada. So top pick time as we look at this. I mentioned I think it's 2 horses, and those are the 2 horses that we have covered. We're in different kind of camps, though. You go to the 6 Cavalieri, I go to the 1 Alpha Bella.
I just couldn't find the interesting horse at a price. And you have no interest in betting this race, but I'm interested to see how that Baffert horse runs on the outside.
Yeah, I think the most intriguing thing, and it's not obviously going to be that healthy of a return in the exotics, assuming that the 1 and the 6 are the top 2, is Chattelis. We talked about you're not really in love with her performances, but she's shown glimpses, and maybe she can be a little bit of a nuisance early and stick around for a piece. So 6124 for Mike, 1642 for me. Best of luck.